Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon, Shaum and everyone in this room today. The weather today looks very perfect for our session today. Maybe before we start, I would like to greet my MC partner first. How are you, Shaum, dear?
Hi, Tia. It's really good today. I agree that today weather is very perfect for us to do our agenda today. Thank you for asking. And how about you, Katia? How do you feel today?
I'm very glad to hear that you're doing fine today. Thank you for asking for me as well. I'm doing great as well. By the way, we have so many friends with us here today. Wow. I think it's better for us to greet one of them before we start, right?
Yes, we should call one of them. Who are we going to call?
Okay, who are we going to call? Let me see here. I think we have someone who is, they have their camera on, but I want to see their face as well. Jackie
Okay.
Adi Saputra. Can we call?
Hi, Zaki. Are you here with us?
Hello, Jackie. Could you please turn your mic on? Okay, maybe Jackie is not with us. Maybe
I think we should choose another one.
Yes. Let us see who we have here. Sulistiani. Sulistiani, are you with us? Okay. Maybe they're not with us right now.
But I'm sure they are paying attention, right?
Yes, I think it's very great for us to be here today for our session. Maybe we should just continue. I think it's very glad. I think we are all very glad to be gathered here today for our session. Are you excited for today's session, Shao?
Definitely, I'm so ready and excited to gain some knowledge, but I guess everyone here is too. They're here is ready and excited to learn something new. So I guess let's just begin with our agenda today. Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the session in day 2 of IRUD Summer Course 2023. First of all, before we start, I would like to remind all the students here that the attendance will be monitored through the appearance of the screen. Therefore, it is mandatory for the students to turn the camera on and mute the microphone. Also, if you guys have any problem or any constraint, it should be communicated to the committee with a display name, committee_their name.
Yes, so please do contact the committees if you have any problems. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Silcia.
And I'm Kasilcia's partner. My name is Fatia Shaum, and we are from the Department of International Relations, Universitas Diponegoro, Indonesia.
Today, we're going to be your Master of Ceremony for this session, Indonesia Foreign Policy and Diplomacy, with our esteemed speakers, Mr. Mohammad Rosyidin, S.Sos, M.A, and Mr. Maula Hudaya, S.Hub.Int, M.A, from Universitas Diponegoro. We are going to have 4 agendas for today. They are introduction, panel discussion, ice-breaking, and Q&A and closing session at the end. This session will be moderated by Mr. Subhan, S.IP, M.InternatRel from the International Relations Department, Universitas Diponegoro. First of all, we are going to show you guys the CV for our moderator.
Okay, so let me read the great CV from our moderator today. So we have Mr. Subhan. Mr. Muhammad Subhan is the lecturer at the Department of International Relations, Universitas Diponegoro. He obtained his master's degree of international relations from Monash University in 2021 with in-depth knowledge of research, political violence and counterterrorism, international cooperation, diplomacy and trade, geopolitics, and business globalizations. From 2012 until 2016, he obtained his bachelor degree from Universitas Diponegoro, majoring in international relations. So basically, our model today is one of us. Mr. Subhan had been focusing on social media and public complaint system analysis with more than 3 years of Substantial Experience and Issues Monitoring, Complaint Handling, and Content Writing. Previously, Mr. Subhan spent his work experiences in United Nations Development Program, or UNDP Indonesia, as an outreach and advocacy officer starting in May until October in 2022.
Additionally, friends, as both lecturer and researcher, Mr. Subhan has been included in many research experiences, such as, first of all, his newest research experience include first, International Symposium on Social Sciences, Humanities, Education, and Religious Studies, Indonesia-Asian Partnership to Counter Terrorism in Indonesia. And then the second one, Journal of Social Sciences, The Migration of Terrorist Actors in Indonesia, from male-dominated terrorists to the emergence of female terrorist migrant domestic workers. Not only that, during his academic year as an active student in Monash University, he actively participated in many organization involvements, including, first of all, from 2021 to 2022, he was the Deputy Chief Executive of the Special Branch of Nahdlatul Ulama, or PCINU, for State of Victoria, Australia, and New Zealand. He was also the member of Indonesian Student Association, or PPI, for Asia-Oceania region. And then from 2020 to 2021, he was the head of the Community Service Division of Monash Indonesian Islamic Society, or MIIS, for Australia.
What an incredible list of experiences our moderator had today. So I guess without further ado, let's give this next station to our respectable moderator. Please welcome Mr. Subhan.
Yes, maybe we should first greet Mr. Subhan first. Hello, Mr. Subhan.
Hello, Mr.
Are you
Subhan.
here with us?
Hello, Lucia and
Hi.
Tom. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, Mr. Subhan, are you ready for today's session?
More than ready.
Oh my God, so
Wow, very
so
excited, Mr. Subhan. How's your preparation for today's session, Mr.?
Both of the speakers have sent me outstanding material, so I read some of their material. So I think today's discussion will be great discussion from our outstanding two speakers.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Subhan.
I think all of us is ready, Kak Cia. So without further ado, let's just give the session to Mr. Subhan. Mr. Subhan, the time and screen are yours.
Okay, thank you, Lucia and Tom. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you here in today's discussion. Today we will invite two outstanding speakers from Universitas Diponegoro. The first is Mr. Maula Hudaya, the newcomer of lecturer in the International Relations Department, Universitas Diponegoro, and the second one is one of the renowned constructivist theorists in Indonesia from the Department of International Relations, Universitas Diponegoro. Okay, the first session will be start by Mr. Maula, and the second one will be continued by Mr. Rosyidin. Okay, please, the committee, can you share or display us the curriculum video of Mr. Maula? Okay, let me introduce sort of Mr. Maula's biography. Mr. Maula now serves as a new lecturer of the Department of International Relations in Universitas Diponegoro since October 2022. Previously, he served as the staff of the board of the professor from Institute Technology 10 November. He spent his 2 years master degree in Universitas Gadjah Mada, graduated on 2022, and also he finished his bachelor degree from Universitas Airlangga, Surabaya in 2019. Okay. Even though he's a young lecturer, he has published so many articles. For example, in 2022, he has published 3 different articles. For example, the discourse of humanity in COVID-19 pandemic, study case of refugees in Indonesia. In the same year, he has published the establishment of ASEAN framework of action in marine debris, the role of shared knowledge, and also in the same year, he has published product upgrading analysis of instant coffee industry. As we can see, he has published so many articles, even in his young age. Okay, and for your information, he has conducted his marriage this year, couple months ago. Congratulate on his marriage. Okay, Mr. Maula interest, as we can see, for example, international crime against peace, Russian, East European, and Central Asian studies, Indonesian foreign policy analysis, naval strategy, Indonesia foreign policy. So he's expert in today's discussion, and also energy security and global value chains. Achievement, for example, in 2018, first test paper in Andalas International Relation Affair, finalist of physics ideas matters in the same year. And the current participation, he will serve as a presenter in the 4th Political International Relation Congress held by Department of International Relations in Karadeniz Technical University, Turkey in 2021. As you can see, he also has a good language proficiency. He has IELTS 7.0. So he will serve a good discussion today. Okay. Since we have a short time to discuss, let's Mr. Maula presenting his presentation today. Okay, for Mr. Maula, please.
Okay, thank you, Mas Subhan. The committee, could you please presentation? The committee. Okay, thank you. So, I think before I start my presentation, I will ask you maybe 2 questions. You can answer it directly. The first question I ask you is, why the name of our country is Indonesia? Why is it not Nusantara or maybe Insulinde? Anyone have the answer? I think you guys can interact with me directly. Oh, okay. The committee has reminded me that this is panel discussion, so it is not allowed to me to interact with the participants right now. Okay, if so, let's hold the discussion in the breakout room session and the question and answer session. So let's move to the first slide. Okay, today we will talk about the fundamental construction and basic value of Indonesian foreign policy. Cosmopolitan yet communitarian. Quite interesting, right? Next, please. Okay. Well, throughout the history, from the era of our first president, Soekarno, Indonesian foreign policy has been have a unique trait compared to the others. It is because as the newly emerged country, newly independent country, Indonesia has faced a very difficult situation, namely the Cold War. In the Cold War, the world is just like divided into 2 blocks. Eastern bloc that adhered to the communism and the Western bloc that adhered to liberalism. If we follow the traditional logic of foreign policy, namely structural realism. A small country, as we just only emerged as a newly independent country, logically will bandwagon to the one of the blocks because it is impossible to challenge either the Western Bloc or the Eastern Bloc. So the logic of small country in this kind of situation, usually they will bandwagon to one side in order to survive the threat from the other side. But Indonesia is different. In this case, Indonesia choose to stay in the middle and establish the non-aligned movement. Indonesia initiated the non-aligned movement in 1961 and even declared the establishment of new emerging forces in 1965. Why so? What makes Indonesia brave enough to take this foreign policy direction? It is this next. Well, it is because Indonesia adhered to the foreign policy principle bebas aktif, or in English it will be independent and active. It means that Indonesian foreign policy must be independent in the sense that Indonesia is not allowed to align to either the Eastern Bloc or Western Bloc because it is seen to be the new form of colonialism if Indonesia aligned to the Eastern Bloc or Western Bloc. So Indonesia have to stay in the middle, and the Indonesian decision makers have to navigate Indonesia that can be how to say it, analogy as a big ship that are sailing between two dangerous reefs. It must be stay in the middle. It cannot hit the west reef and the east reef. Initially, the bebas aktif principle was only designed by Vice President Muhammad Hatta at the time in 1955. It's only designed to navigate Indonesia in order to survive the Cold War. However, even after the end of the Cold War, this principle is still strongly adhered by every Indonesian presidents in formulated their foreign policy. Next, please. Then we can see every era of our presidents, their foreign policy always adhere to this basic principle of Indonesian foreign policy, which is bebas aktif. For the example, in the era of President Sukarno, yes, in the era of President Sukarno, Indonesia can be said that it is more close. It has more close relationship with the Soviet Union, but it is doesn't mean that Indonesia aligned to the Eastern Bloc. In this case, Indonesia is still allowed to make any cooperation with any country in the world, but Indonesia is not allowed to align with military alliance or align to the bloc, but it's still allowed to make any cooperation with any country in the world. And then in the era of President Suharto, is the effect of the rebellion of Communist Party in Indonesia. Suharto navigated Indonesia more closely to the west, but it's fine because Indonesia is not bandwagon or aligned with the Western Bloc either. And then after the reformation, the era of President Megawati, due to the military embargo from the US, Indonesia at the time had a close relationship with Russia, and Megawati decided to buy arms from Russia, for the example, Sukhoi fighter jets and Mi-15 attack helicopter from the Russia to diversify our defense equipment that are previously dominated by the United States equipment. So It is this can be seen that being bebas aktif means that Indonesia cannot be dictated by any countries in the world. Indonesia are still independent but free to free to cooperate with anyone in any issues. Then, what is the basic feature of the bebas aktif? The bebas aktif principle is actually derived from the preamble of the Indonesian Constitution, namely the Undang-Undang Dasar 1945. In the preamble itself, it is stated that Indonesia must commit to abolishing any form of colonialism and actively participate in upholding peace and humanity. Peace, justice, and humanity. This means that in bebas aktif foreign policy, Indonesia have to stay independent, because if not independent, if Indonesia join any military alliance or any defense bloc, it means that it consequence that Indonesia will be dictated by the leader of that bloc or that military alliance. So the Indonesian politics will not be independent again. And then Indonesia have to be active in promoting peace and justice and humanity in every single foreign policy that every Indonesian leader takes. Next, please. Okay, this is a quote from the preamble of Undang-Undang Dasar 1945. The top one is a quote from the first paragraph, and below is the quote from the fourth paragraph. So basically, in the first paragraph, it is reflect the basic value of cosmopolitanism, because it contains that independence is the right of any nation, and because of that, any oppression, any colonialism in the face of the world must be erased, must be abolished, because it is not in accordance with the justice and humanity. And then the second one, the fourth paragraph, said that Indonesia, before actively participating in promoting peace and humanity, Indonesia have to protect their compatriot, protect their people. So it is reflect the value of communitarianism. Next, please. Okay, please do this part. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, then we enter the brief aspect of what is cosmopolitanism and communitarianism. Well, I assume that all of you have understand this this perspective of cosmopolitanism and communitarianism, but well, in case that you have already forget what is cosmopolitanism and communitarianism, the main idea of cosmopolitanism is universality, in which every human being in this world are equal and should be treated equal. And in this case, there is no favoritism. Any family ties, relatives, and even compatriots are meaningless, because every people in every part of this world should be treated as equal. And then on the other side, communitarianism means it is quite similar with nationalism or patriotism in some extent. It focuses in locality. It is not universal, because there is a favoritism in this perspective, in this value, where family ties, relatives, and fellow compatriots are still relevant in here. And then in this value, the interest of a community, in this case a country or a nation, must come first before addressing any other's issue. So you have to help your compatriots first before helping the other people that you don't even know where he or she is. Next, please. Then, what is the fundamental construction of this basic virtue? Well, basically, Indonesian foreign policy was shaped by the experience of colonialism. In this case, the prolonged colonialism by Dutch and Japan that takes about 3.5 centuries constructed the anti-colonialism perspective. Well, the extreme suffering during the colonial era creates the thinking that not even a single human being on this earth deserves to be treated like what the Indonesians have undergone in the era of Dutch and Japan. Then the struggle for independence has united almost all the local tribes live in every part of Indonesian archipelago that are previously scattered apart. Then the most important milestone in this is the Sumpah Pemuda in 1928, in which the young representative from all the parts of the archipelago has taken an oath to unite as one, namely Indonesian nationality, and speaking one language, Bahasa Indonesia, as the united language. It is also what later constructed the Indonesian motto of Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which means the unity in diversity. Next, please. Okay. The event stated that the previous slide construct the cosmopolitan. The event stated in the previous slide construct the cosmopolitan yet communitarian stride in Indonesian foreign policy. The bitter experience during the Dutch and Japanese colonialization make Indonesia more aware of the fate of humankind anywhere in the world. So the preamble of the UUD 1945, it is mandatory for Indonesia to actively promote perpetual peace and erase any form of colonialization in all the part of the world. Then the struggle for independence that has been fought by many ethnicities, religions, and many tribes help Indonesia in creating an imaginary community. It also boosts the sense of cosmopolitanism, in which the sense of belonging has been strongly established in the vast diversity of Indonesia. On the other hand, the oath to unite under the Indonesian nationality helped to define the communitarian trait of Indonesian foreign policy. In the fourth paragraph of the preamble of Undang-Undang Dasar Negara 1945, the notion of protecting fellow Indonesians compatriots come first before Indonesia must actively maintain the world order. So it is clearly stated that Indonesia have also communitarian trait in their foreign policy. Next, please. Well, it is quite unusual if we put cosmopolitan and communitarian at the same time, because it can be said that the two perspectives are very different. But according to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, my city and my country, so far as I am Antonius, is Rome. But so far as I am a man, is the world. So it is possible to have double identity here. The first one, identity as Indonesian citizen, and it can serve as a basis for the wider identity as the citizen of the world. So it is widely possible. Next, please. Well, we have a case study here. This is actually from my research a year ago. The case study here is about Indonesian refugees policy before and after pandemic. As we know that Indonesia has not ratified the 1951 Refugee Convention and the 1967 Protocol of the United States High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, but Indonesia still accept many refugees that originated from Afghanistan and Myanmar and treat them well. The refugee policy in Indonesia itself is based on the Peraturan Presiden nomor 125 2016 on international refugees. Next, please. In this research that I conduct with my friends, I found out that before and after the pandemic, the Indonesian policy regarding the refugees are quite different. In the era before pandemic, Indonesian government treat the refugees very well. They even create the shelter, the house for the refugees, and give them access to the education, access to work, and then give them monthly allowance. But after the pandemics, it is the government is never mentioned about refugees in every of their policy, and then they are not even listed as the COVID-19 vaccine receiver. It is because before the era of pandemic, before the pandemic era, the government of Indonesia adhere to the cosmopolitanism in which every people in this world are equal, including the refugees that are not Indonesian but originating from other countries such as Afghanistan and Myanmar. But after the pandemic, the safety for Indonesian citizen must come first before we can help any other citizen from other countries. So the logic of Indonesian government in the era after pandemic, there is favoritism that the government must help Indonesian citizen first to be safe from the COVID-19 pandemic before we can help the refugees that are not Indonesians. Next, please. Okay, maybe this is last part of my presentation, and then we can discuss these questions in the breakout room session and then in the Q&A session. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mola, for a great presentation today. Mr. Maula has presented us regarding the general overview of Indonesian foreign policy from historical overview and until the current issue of Indonesian foreign policy, especially in Southeast Asia. Okay, for the second speaker, there is Mr. Rosyidin here. Hello, Mas Rosyid.
Yes, Mas Subhan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mas Rosyidin, for attending today's discussion. Everyone, I will introduce you to one of our renowned Indonesian international relation in Indonesia and also constructive histories Indonesia for his handwriting especially. Okay, committee, can you please display us the curriculum vitae? Okay, thank you. Okay. Let me introduce you, Mr. Mohammad Rosyidin, S.Sos Master of Art. He has served in International Relations Department in Diponegoro University since 2013. So, Mas Rosyid also my lecturer during my bachelor degree in University Diponegoro. one of the best lecturer in Diponegoro University. Mr. Rosyidin finished his bachelor degree in Jember on 2008 and finished his master in Universitas Gadjah Mada on 2013. Now he's as an assistant professor, and also he has proposed his associate professor in Diponegoro University. Next month, Mas Rosyid will pursue his doctoral degree on Universitas Gadjah Mada for the same major in international relations. Maybe Mas Rosyid will clarify. And for the publication, the book Mas Rosyid has published around. Can you scroll down the CV? Okay. And next, scroll down, please. 14 books since 2015. And monograph. Mas Rosyid has published around 9 monograph, book chapter. How about book chapter? Scroll down, please. Okay, Mas Rosyid has write around 6 book chapter for the journal article. Since 2010, Mas Rosyid has published 55 journal article. Wow, outstanding achievement from Mas Rosyid. All of you can ask so many questions today, since Mas Rosyid has specialty in constructivist and also foreign policy, especially Indonesian foreign policy. Yeah, I think if I read you the curriculum vitae, it will spend a whole sessions today. So I will let you read one by one, and if you want, one of you interested in his writing, you can send us a message, and I will give you his curriculum vitae, and also maybe link toward his articles. Okay, let's just start today's second presentation by Mas Rosyid. Ready, Mas Rosyid?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. Mas Rosyid, please.
Thank you, Mas Subhan, for your kind introduction, and thank you for having me on this occasion. And could you please share the my PowerPoint's presentation? Okay, thank you. So now I'm about to present my recent research about Indonesia's foreign policy under President Jokowi. Well, Mas Maula presented his research about the philosophical foundation of Indonesia's foreign policy. My presentation is about Indonesia's foreign policy under Joko Widodo, especially when it comes to multilateralism diplomacy. Next, please. These are the outline of my presentation. I begin with the global politics after COVID-19, which is characterized by the decline of multilateralism, and then I will present the contemporary situation of Indonesia's presidency in the G20 and ASEAN, and then I will sketch a little bit about the nature of multilateral diplomacy in international relations, and the core of my presentation is about the history of Indonesia's multilateral diplomacy and how Indonesia conduct foreign policy in terms of multilateral diplomacy under President Jokowi. And the last part is about the impact of Jokowi's foreign policy, Jokowi's approach to Indonesia's multilateral diplomacy on Indonesia's global reputation as a middle power and a global problem solver as well. Next, please. So, how can we understand our current global politics? 2 years ago, we had a tragedy called global pandemic, COVID-19. So what is the feature of global politics after COVID-19? I cite Farid Zakaria in his book published in 2020, and also Jeffrey Sachs also in 2020, that generally COVID-19 impact so many aspects of our current life, especially in global politics. So the pandemic has a huge impact on multilateral diplomacy, which is characterized by the decline of multilateralism. Every country tend to choose unilateralism instead of multilateralism. So that is the main feature of our current global politics in the post-pandemic of COVID-19. Next, please. This is the trend of multilateral diplomacy in contemporary international politics. You can see on the screen that the red mark, it depicts the decline of multilateralism in terms of peace and security, trade, human rights, and climate action. You can see that in terms of performance of multilateralism, it is characterized by the declining performance of multilateral diplomacy in general. But conversely, in terms of participation and inclusivity, it tends to rising. But in terms of performance, it tends to be declining. That is the main feature of our multilateralism in today's international relations. Next, please. So what about Indonesia's presidency in G20 and ASEAN? In G20, Indonesia holds the presidency for the first time since its membership in 1999. And I think we already know that the G20 is a multilateral forum that represents the world's economy of and represents 80% of what GDP and 60% of global population. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Indonesia presidency put the spirit of recover together and recover stronger. So this theme is very relevant because we had the tragic tragedy of a global pandemic. And Indonesian presidency in the G20 is focusing on three priority: global health, digital transformation, and energy transition. And in addition, Indonesian presidency also stressed on global challenge following the crisis between Russia and Ukraine. So Indonesia would play a major role in managing the conflict and how the global community face the crisis. Okay, next please. And how about Indonesia's ASEAN presidency? Indonesia in 2023 holds ASEAN presidency under the theme of ASEAN Matters, Epicentrum of Growth. Indonesia emphasized that ASEAN would be able to become the motor of world peace and growth. Indonesia focused on 3 topics: human trafficking, currencies other than dollar, and the roadmap for Timor-Leste to be ASEAN membership. In his opening remarks, Jokowi stressed on the review of the implementation of 5 pieces. This is the agreement between ASEAN members regarding the Myanmar crisis and ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific as well. So the 2 issues have become Indonesia's core principle in managing regional stability. Next, please. Now we proceed to the concept. We need to understand what multilateralism is in order to understand Indonesia's approach, especially Jokowi's approach to multilateral diplomacy. In this case, I select G20 and ASEAN as case studies. So, according to United Nations, multilateralism is a form of cooperation between at least 3 states. It contains 3 characteristics. Number 1, multilateralism is about adherence to a common political project based on respect of shared system norms and values. Number 2, uphold founding principles such as consultation, inclusion, and solidarity. And the third one, its operation is determined by collective developed rules that ensure sustainable and effective cooperation. Next, please. According to Robert Keohane, he defined multilateralism as the practice of coordinating national policies in groups of 3 or more states through ad hoc arrangement or by means of institutions. The keyword of multilateralism is about institution. Multilateralism equals to international institution, but it is not limited to international organization, because international institution differs largely from international organization. Not all international institutions are international organization, and but all international organizations are international institutions. John Gerard Ruggie also defined multilateralism as coordination among 3 or more states in accordance with certain principles. So similar to Keohane's definition, Ruggie defined multilateralism as institutional form of international relations. Lastly, James Caporaso defined multilateralism as institutions focusing on the formal organization element of international life, and so on and so on. That is, I think, the keyword of, in order to understand multilateralism, we need to understand what institution is. And if you have academic background in international relations, I think this term is not strange for you. Next, please. Now, what are functions of multilateral diplomacy? I cite from Kisore Mahbubani in his book, edited by Cooper et al., that there are so many functions of multilateral diplomacy. Number 1 is to represent national government all over the world. It is the function of multilateralism as the parliament of man. And number 2, aspirational goal for humanity, to negotiate international treaties, to play conflict resolution and peace building. Next, please. What's the relationship between foreign policy and multilateralism? There are two characteristics of foreign policy that are committed to multilateralism. Number one, a state who committed to multilateralism invest in the creation and maintenance of international institutions that serve to facilitate coordination. Number two, a state that committed to multilateralism characterized by their compliance with the rules, norms, principles, and decision-making process that this institution on equal basis with other states. Next, please. Benefits of multilateralism. States that engage or involve in multilateral diplomacy can gain several benefits. Number one, joint practice of multilateralism creates mutually recognizable patterns of action. Number two, to avoid radical solution. And number three, to lend legitimacy to the policies that it generates by virtue of the debate that the process necessary entails. Next, please. Now, we turn to Indonesia's commitment to multilateralism. I will sketch in brief about a historical overview of Indonesia's multilateral diplomacy. We need to track back to Indonesia's independence, struggling with the Dutch in order to gain our independent status after 1945. Indonesia's diplomacy focused on seeking solution over the conflict between Indonesia and the Dutch through the UN. If you see this picture, it's very famous picture. It depicts how Indonesia's diplomats, for example, Sultan Syahrir and Agus Salim and others, struggled with the Dutch representative in the UN to seek international support in order to gain our independent status from the Dutch. Unfortunately, it failed. It failed because there was no agreement between the permanent member of the Security Council in the United Nations. But despite of its failure, this diplomacy, this multilateral diplomacy, demonstrated Indonesia's position at the global stage. That is the key message to the world, that Indonesia, as a young nation, could gain international exposure. Next, please. And the second event that increased Indonesia's image at the global stage is the ASEAN-African Conference in 1955. These events showed that Indonesia's foreign policy demonstrated its active principle in foreign policy. And this event creates 10 principles of international norms beyond the Soviet and the US rivalry, called Dasasila Bandung, which built upon several principles such as anti-colonialism, non-interference, peaceful conflict settlement. Thus, Indonesia played a role as norm entrepreneur. Next, please. This period of Indonesia's guided democracy marked the decline of Indonesia's multilateralism, because Sukarno adopted confrontational and unilateral foreign policy against the West. He abandoned many multilateral forums. Instead, he chose a unilateral foreign policy in order to struggle against the West. And Indonesia frustrated with the UN on the West Papua. And as a result, Indonesia modernized its military and purchased huge, large amount of weaponry from the Soviet Union. And Indonesia also withdrew from the UN following the Malaysia's entry as a non-permanent member of the Security Council. This was the dark side of Indonesia's foreign policy across the history. Next, please. All right, now we turn to Suharto, the successor of Sukarno. Indonesia's foreign policy under Suharto was characterized by pragmatism, and he tended to focus on domestic issues rather than foreign policy. But after Indonesia gained economic performance in 1980s, Indonesia's foreign policy became a priority of Suharto. Indonesia secured his priority on economic development, and then Suharto also tried to engage at the global stage. Next, please. During the reform era, Indonesia's multilateralism tend to focus on regionalism, especially ASEAN. But after Wahid replaced Habibie, he overlooked ASEAN and proposed West Pacific Forum. And Megawati differs from her predecessor. She restored ASEAN centrality by proposing the concept of ASEAN community at the Bali Concord II. This is the milestone of ASEAN history by Indonesia's leadership. Next, please. And during Yudhoyono's presidency, Indonesia's commitment to multilateralism reached its peak because Indonesia very active at the global stage, especially at the multilateral forum, for example, by proposing the concept of Indo-Pacific Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation. Indonesia also engaged in addressing many global issues, such as environment, climate change, interreligious dialogue, and many others. Indonesia played many roles such as norm setters, consensus builder, bridge builder, peacemaker, voice of developing countries. These roles has demonstrated that Indonesia is an important global actor during that time. Next, please. Now we would like to discuss about Indonesia's multilateralism during Jokowi. Similar to Suharto, Jokowi's foreign policy is characterized by pragmatism, which put strong emphasis on domestic matters. And Jokowi treat multilateral diplomacy as a facilitator of bilateralism because his concern is about economic development. So he needs to gain attraction from many countries at the multilateral forum. But at the same time, Indonesia plays role as non-entrepreneur, such as ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific in 2019 and ASEAN 5-point consensus in 2021, following the humanitarian crisis occurring in Myanmar. However, at general, Jokowi's foreign policy remains pragmatic in its nature. Next, please. Now, we need to employ Jokowi's approach, or we need to test how Indonesia's commitment to multilateral diplomacy in the G20 forum. During its presidency in the G20, Indonesia did not address many global issues, but instead focused on economic development. For example, at the G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia's Ministry Coordinator of Economy stated that it would improve Indonesia's international branding. And Indonesia's presidency provides an opportunity to promote Indonesia's tourism after the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, the G20 summit increases hotel occupancy in 70%, attract 20,000 foreign tourists each day, contribute 7.4 trillion rupiah to Indonesia's economy, and absorb more than 33,000 new jobs. These all are the indicators of pragmatism in Jokowi's foreign policy during Indonesia's presidency in the G20. Next, please. So my argument is quite simple, that Indonesia's commitment to multilateral diplomacy is strongly characterized by pragmatism. As we can see at the Indonesia's presidency in the G20, multilateralism as cultural diplomacy. Indonesia tend to focus on cultural diplomacy instead of addressing global issues. For example, Indonesia promotes its cultural differences in the G20 in order to attract tourism by cultural performance, such as Indonesian traditional dancing, and how Indonesia gave many world leaders to wear Bali traditional clothes. Sorry, the presentation is gone. The committee, could you please? All right. Thank you. So, as Ministry of Indonesia's Foreign Affairs stated, Indonesia wants the delegates have positive image. The statement should be underlined in order to understand the nature of Jokowi's pragmatic foreign policy during Indonesia's G20 presidency. Indonesia also conducted gastro diplomacy by presenting many Indonesia's cuisine, in order to attract delegates. So this indicates the cultural diplomacy of Indonesia during the presidency. Next, please. Pragmatism also appears during the Indonesia's presidency in ASEAN. Jokowi stated that the ASEAN presidency in Labuan Bajo is to marketize the Labuan Bajo in order to the world know that Indonesia there is a interesting place named Labuan Bajo in Nusa Tenggara Timur. Jokowi also stated that the most important thing of Indonesia's ASEAN presidency is to promote Labuan Bajo as the super priority of tourist destination. Indonesia wants Labuan Bajo become a world-class MICE, meeting, incentive, conference, and exhibition. This is the place for exhibition and other events. Next, please. Next, please. The committee, could you please to proceed the next slide? All right, thank you. And according to Sandiaga Uno, Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, that they conducted a survey to the delegates of ASEAN meeting, and the result is very surprising, that 87.6% of respondents will revisit Labuan Bajo. 80% of respondents will recommend Labuan Bajo as top priority of tourism destination. Thank you for warning. I will quick my presentation. Okay, next, please. Next, please. So the conclusions is Indonesia's multilateral diplomacy under Jokowi has been characterized by pragmatic approach, especially in enhancing economic growth. However, Indonesia remains committed to normative values in promoting a more stable, peaceful, and cooperative region in the Indo-Pacific. And during its presidency in the G20 and ASEAN, Indonesia employs cultural and tourism diplomacy. And multilateral pragmatism would diminish Indonesia's international reputation as a middle power and a global problem solver due to Indonesia's prioritization on short-term benefits rather than long-term normative principles in world politics. Multilateral diplomacy should be guided by idealism rather than pragmatism. Unfortunately, under Joko Widodo, Indonesia's commitment to multilateralism is characterized by pragmatism rather than idealism. The last one, since being chair differs from leader, Indonesia should continue its traditional role as an intellectual and entrepreneurial leader. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rosyidin, for a great presentation regarding Jokowi's era of Indonesian foreign policy. Since we have finished the two presentations by Mr. Mola and Mr. Rosyidin, so it's now main discussion between me and Mas Rosyid and Mr. Maula until 16 and 25. So I have a couple of questions regarding the issues that you have brought to us. Okay, from the two speakers, Mr. Maula and Mr. Rosyid, I find the slides of your issue from both of your presentation. Mr. Maula said that the current refugee crisis, especially in Indonesia, before and after the pandemic, there are two different trends, before and after the pandemic. For example, Maula said that before pandemics, still accept the refugees arrival in Aceh, especially, and the Indonesians eastern part, and we give them a shelter, food, and also monthly kind of monthly living allowance to them. However, after the pandemic, the trend has changed, since Indonesia no longer accept the attendance of the refugees. So from Masro's presentation, we know about the decreased trend in the performance of multilateralism. Do you think that what Indonesia has done toward the refugees, especially Rohingya, is a proof that Indonesia has done an inward looking for domestic interests rather than propose multilateralism policy regarding the refugee? Maybe Mr. Maula or Mas Rosid will start the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, I think I will answer it first. Well, I've discussed it with Mas Rosid before that Indonesian foreign policy is kind of unique because while it adheres to cosmopolitanism value, it can switch into communitarianism value depend on the situation. In the situation of COVID and before COVID itself, regarding to the refugee policy, before the pandemic, Indonesia still can help them, like you said before, give them food, monthly allowance, shelters, access to the education, access to work. But after the pandemic, the situation changed. Before the pandemic, there is no threat. There is no threat that exposed the Indonesian citizens. And after the pandemic, the situation changed. There is a huge threat of pandemic. Everyone could be sick. Everyone could be infected by COVID. And basically, Indonesia don't have enough capability to prioritize both the refugees and the Indonesian citizen at a single time. So I believe that it is quite a hard decision by Indonesian government to choose between saving the refugees first or the Indonesian citizen first. But according to our preamble of our Constitution, the Undang-Undang Dasar Negara 1945, it stated that we have to protect our citizens first before we can help the other citizens. So in this case, it is safe. I think it is safe to assume that Indonesian cosmopolitanism is based on the value of communitarianism. So the structure is Indonesia have to adhere to the communitarianism first at its first identity as the Indonesian citizen, as the Indonesian government. And after that, if the security and the safety of Indonesian citizens have been fulfilled, Indonesia can protect the other nations after we make sure that safety and security of our citizen has been fulfilled. If you ask me about the other case that also applied this logic, actually I haven't found the quite similar case. But when we talk about the Indonesian mission on the UN peacekeeping force, we know that Indonesia has regularly sent our Garuda contingent in the UN peacekeeping force since the 1957 until now, and the amount of our forces there is quite a lot, maybe around 4,000. Our TNI is sent to the UN peacekeeping force right now. You can correct me if I'm wrong with the number, Actually, in the era of President Yudhoyono, it is the contingent Garuda, the Garuda contingent, was sent there because it is adhere to the vision of President Yudhoyono to make friend with other countries, other nations, and make no enemies, right? So it is the idea of cosmopolitanism again in the era of President Yudhoyono. But then it is changed in the era of President Jokowi. Indeed, it is still based on the cosmopolitanism view, but as Mas Rosyid stated before, in the era of President Jokowi, Indonesia tends to be more pragmatic, right? I say that in the era of President Jokowi, the Indonesian peacekeeping force that sent in the UN peacekeeping force right now is not only to establish peace and make friends with other countries, but also the goal has shifted a little bit. It also served as a tool to make economic benefits, as we see in the website of Indonesian Foreign Ministry. It is stated that our forces that has been sent there also use many Indonesian arms, like the Pindad Anoa, the Pindad assault rifle, and the military vest from the Stritex industry. So the UN peacekeeping force are also marketplace, we can say, marketplace for President Jokowi to promote our military equipment, so the other country can see the quality of our military industry, so they can buy it from us, so it can be huge economic income for us. Maybe it's all from me. Mas Rosyid, do you want to add answer?
All right, Mas Maula. Thank you, Mas Subhan, for the question. With respect to the ASEAN issue, I think I need to remind you that my key argument is Indonesia's foreign policy during Jokowi is strongly characterized by pragmatism, despite the fact that Indonesia does not abandon a normative principle. So we can see that following the tragic issues in Myanmar, Indonesia conducted or played its leadership role in the region by conducting ASEAN meeting in Jakarta in 2021 and resulting the 5-point consensus of ASEAN. That is the indication of Indonesia's foreign policy under Jokowi that is committed to multilateralism. So if we want to understand contemporary Indonesia's foreign policy with special focus on Jokowi's foreign policy, we need to keep in mind that we cannot focus on individual level for Jokowi himself, but we need to consider the state level analysis by considering the Indonesian role in international relations. That is, as a middle power, Indonesia played a leadership role in the region. But if we analyze from individual level or idiosyncratic approach, we need to analyze Jokowi's principle in terms of his pragmatic principle in foreign policy. So I think Indonesia's foreign policy is characterized by dual principle. On one hand, Indonesia adopt a pragmatic foreign policy because Jokowi is not a foreign policy president. He is very pragmatic. He has strong background as an entrepreneur. That is why Indonesia's foreign policy is very pragmatic. But on the other hand, Indonesia also played a role as a middle power in the region. So we can say that Indonesia is very pragmatic. But pragmatism and idealism is a dual characteristic of Indonesia's foreign policy during Joko Widodo. That's for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Maula and Mas Rosyidin. I have one. I think it is an important question before we have a break. 10 minutes. Since you said that Jokowi's approach toward foreign policy is pragmatic rather than seek more friendship. But now we can see that Indonesia annual income is no more than 4 until 5% a year since Jokowi's era. Do you think that Jokowi failed to step up Indonesia into become a developed country? As we can conclude that Indonesia is now getting trapped into a middle income country since we have the developing countries since SPA's era, Yudhoyono's era, until today, we can jump into developed country rather than stay in developing country nation. Please, Mas Rosyidin.
Well, I think you can ask that question to economic lecturer than me. I am an international relations specialist, not economy. But okay, regarding your question, I think that we cannot say that the Jokowi totally failed in the economic development. That's quite a premature conclusion, I think. We can see at the global level that Indonesia is one of the strongest nation in the world with respect to economic performance amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. But I think this is not just Jokowi's achievement in terms of economy, but there are so many structural factors behind that outstanding economic achievement in Indonesia. That's all I know.
Question? Can you repeat the question? You're still mute?
Okay, thanks, Mas Rosyidin, for the clarification. I mean, regarding the Indonesian foreign policy in Jokowi's era. Do you think that Indonesia is getting trapped into a middle income nation since we cannot jump into developed countries since Yudhoyono's era until today's Jokowi end of era? Thank you. What do you think, Mr. Maula?
It's for me actually. Okay. I'm really sorry because it's really far out of my area of interest. So my answer is I think I need to research it furthermore before I can answer you. But overall, my answer would be similar with instructions. So maybe that's my answer.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Thank you for Mas Rashid and Mr. Maula's answer regarding Indonesian store policy. But from your answer regarding the Indonesian foreign policy, especially in Asia, regarding the attendance of refugees. I have read your, especially Mas Rashid, I have read your writing about the Asian way. Why Indonesians avoid to accept refugees, especially from Rohingya. It is because Indonesians respect the Asian way, not trying to try to become a Muslim country who wants to help Rohingya, who we know the majority of them are Muslim. But Jokowi, or the foreign policy minister, more respect toward Asian way rather than Muslim Muslim way. What do you think, Mas?
Do you ask me about the Indonesia's response to accept Rohingya refugee?
Yes.
Yes, the Indonesian policy to allow Rohingya refugee to enter Indonesia's territory, I think the best explanation of this phenomena is that the principle of humanitarianism that adopted by Indonesia in accordance with Pancasila, especially Sila number 2, kemanusiaan yang adil dan beradab, which consists of principles of humanitarianism. When humanitarianism principle and national interest collides, I think humanitarianism will prevail. That's why Indonesia accept or receive Rohingya refugee to Indonesian territory, despite the fact that Indonesia is not a state party of UN Refugee Convention. The keyword is the principle of humanitarianism in Indonesia's foreign policy, which is embodied in Indonesia's constitution, as well as the national ideology, Pancasila, especially in Sila number 2. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mas Rashid. But why it is from Mr. Maula that after the pandemic, Indonesia trying to avoid or reject the attendance of Rohingya, even though, as what Mas Rashid said, that Indonesians propose humanitarian issue rather than region or religious issue.
I think I don't say that Indonesia fully reject the refugees after the pandemic, but yes, in 2022, Indonesia rejects the Rohingya Put people from entering the Indonesia, send it to Malaysia instead. I believe that because Indonesia is not the ratifier of the United States Refugee Convention, so Indonesia cannot be the, how to say it, the main destination for the refugees to take asylum, but Indonesia can only be the transit country. I believe that in the pandemic situation, the refugees that are already in Indonesia is already too many of them in here. So in that kind of situation, we cannot accept it. We cannot accept more refugees because the situation is just it's not possible for that. And then mostly the refugees main destination is Australia. But we know that the Australia itself, it has quite strict refugees policy. So it takes it takes many years for the refugees to be transferred to Australia. So the transit of refugees in here in Indonesia is already full. So Indonesian government must reject it, sadly. I believe that's the answer. And then regarding to the ASEAN way, like you said before, indeed Indonesia as a member of ASEAN have to respect Myanmar internal Myanmar domestic issues, but you have to remember that President Jokowi has visited the Rohingya camp in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. So this is also part of Indonesian mission to adhere to the value of humanity, even though we are not accepting the refugees from Rohingya anymore because of the pandemic situation. Yes, we are still trying to how to say it, to promote humanity and end the conflict in Rohingya by diplomatic way. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Can I say a few words in response
Okay.
to Maula's argument?
Okay, please.
I disagree with Mr. Maula argument about cosmopolitanism in Indonesia's foreign policy, because as we know that Pancasila does not adopt cosmopolitanism in principle, but it is a kind of a middle way ideology between cosmopolitanism and communitarianism, between the primacy of sovereignty and the primacy of humanitarianism. Indonesia does not adopt between the two extreme axes, but Indonesia choose the middle way between the communitarianism that abandon fully of state sovereignty and communitarism, which put strong emphasis on state sovereignty. I think that's the view for me. Thank you.
Do you have any thought or counter argument?
Is there still enough time?
2
2
minutes
more
left.
minutes. Okay.
Maybe this topic would be an interesting topic in to further research, especially for students or young lecturer like you.
Indeed, Mas Rosyidin. I also believe that the cosmopolitanism here by Indonesia is not that extreme, so it left behind the state sovereignty and etc. But even though it is in the middle way, but I believe that the second sila of Pancasila, kemanusiaan yang adil dan beradab, it's not only referred to the humanity in Indonesia, but also in wider context, the global context. So every human should be treated equally in the perspective of according to Pancasila itself. And then in the preamble of our constitution, it really stated that we should be active in promoting world order that are based on perpetual peace and humanity. And so our constitution clearly stated that any form of colonialism and oppression in this world have been abolished, because independence is the right of every nation, of every single humankind in the world. So I think that's the point of cosmopolitanism here. But I agree with you. We are not fully cosmopolitanism, and communitarianism. Yes, we are in the middle way, but it is the cosmopolitanism is still here. It does exist, in my opinion. Indeed, we can research it furthermore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Maula and Mas Rosyid, for a great presentation and panel discussion. Still, we have reached into great. Thank you, Mas Rosyid and Mas Maula, for a great debate and panel discussion. You can now have a break till 7 p.m. We will discuss into a breakout room, to two breakout rooms from 15 into 15:20. Because I mean, sorry, 17 p.m. You can now have a break. I will bring back to MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Subhan, Mr. Maula, and Mr. Rosyid. I think the material is very enlightening combined with the wonderful presentations. I believe that all the students and audience here have gained many new knowledge and insights about Indonesia foreign diplomacy and policy.
Yes, that is very correct. So thank you very much for all the speakers and of course our moderator. Everyone, actually we have been here for almost 2 hours and the time right now it's showing 4:41 p.m. Indonesia time. So I think we all deserve a little bit of a break for
Yes.
everyone else as well. The break can be 15 minutes. So the session will start again at 4:55 p.m. Indonesia time. So everyone, you're welcome to get a little break, take your drink, go to the bathroom, and we'll be coming back here again at 4:55 p.m. Indonesia time. See you guys!
See you!
Ing tirta nadi ngonteni tekane bis wayah wengi tanganmu tak kanti kowe ngucap janji lunga mesti bali rasane ngitung nganti lali wes pirang tahun anggonku ngenteni sliramu ning kene tak tunggu nganti saelingmu mongso rendang wis ganti ketika apa kowe ra krasa yen kowe isih seneng lan tresno kudune kowe krasa nalikane ing tirta nadi ngenteni tekane bis wayah wengi tanganmu tak kanti kowe ngucap janji lunga mesti bali wes suwe kangen sing tak rasake rasane janji lunga mesti bali. Wes suwe kangen sing tak rasake. Rasane koyo ngene. Ning kene aku ngenteni kowe. Aku kangenku mung kanggo kowe. Nalikane ing tirta nadi ngenteni tekane bis wayah wengi. Tanganmu tak ganti kowe ngucap janji lunga mesti bali. Rasane ngitung nganti lali. Wes pirang tahun anggonku ngenteni sliramu ning kene tak tunggu nganti saelingmu. Mongso rendang wis ganti ketika apa kowe ra krasa. Yen kowe isih seneng lan tresno kudune kowe krasa. Nalikane ing tirta nadi. janganku. Seliramu pamit tugas ngayahi, amre hayu ni sesami. Nggonku moci mong tansah pasuki, sok kapan anggonmu bali. Peteng dedet rasane ngatiku, bareng keprungu kabarmu. Nyatane sing kondur mung layangmu, ora ngira kena kodho. Sopo kuat lakoni yen nyawang wong sing tak tresnani, lungguh jejer lan sesandingan, kinupeng tamu ra karuan. Gelo rasane ngati, apa iki wis kenaris pasti. Aku kudu pepisahan, seprene nggonku sesambung. Teko temen kowe nyitrani janji, nganti bisa ngarani ati. Kebangetan sliramu, kok tega ninggalake aku. Aku mung ngeling janji, sliramu ojo nganti lali. Seprene aku isih tresno, ning ati aku tetep gelo. Sopo kuat lakoni yen nyawang wong sing tak tresnani, lungguh jejer lan sesandingan, kinupeng tamu ra karuan. Gelo rasane ngati, apa iki wis kenaris pasti. Aku kudu pepisahan, seprene nggonku sesambung. Teko temen kowe nyitrani janji, nganti bisa ngarani ati.
Hey, welcome back everyone.
Hi, welcome back everyone to the session. Okay, since we have much insightful knowledge delivered by Mr. Rosyid and Mr. Maula earlier about foreign diplomacy and policy, so I think we have to get ready to the next agenda, which is discussion. But I think before we go into the next agenda, we should refresh and relax our mind a bit, okay? So we can have a great discussion after this.
I agree very much. So, like, we already have a bit of a break time, but maybe before we continue, what if we play a game together with all the participants? I'm sure everyone here would like a little bit of a refreshing session before starting the heavier discussion, right?
Definitely. Let's go play some games in IRUD Summer Course Games Championship 2023. So here we have a Games Championship. Fasten your belts and get ready to compete with your fellow students for the championship time. Today, we'll be playing games. Okay, there's already the name of the game in the screen, which is Guess the Song Name. My partner, Chia, will read out the rules that will be used during the game.
Yes, thank you, Saum. So today's game, which is Guess the Song Name from the emojis, we will be displaying on the screen a group of emojis. So there will be a bunch of emojis later on, such as people, expression, animals, food. So please pay attention carefully, because to answer a question, so what is the song title, you will need to use your own judgment, your own imagination to decide what is actually the name of the song by association with these certain groups of emojis. So for example, if there's a certain flower, for example, what is a song that might be associated with this emoji?
Okay, all of you guys will be given 30 seconds to think and guess the song. You don't need to raise your hand sign. You just directly type the answer in the comment section, and us, the MC, will be in charge of leading the game and deciding which participants will answer it correctly and, of course, the quickest. The committee will watch the comment section for us, so please do your best, guess correctly and quickly.
Yes, that is very correct. The score of the game of each student will be counted, and in the end of this program, there will be some awards for the students who give the best participations, complete with additional certificate from the IRUD Summer Course 2023. So, what else are we waiting for? Let's get the game started.
Go. Okay, so let's see the first song we have here.
Ooh, okay.
We have an animal.
We have an animal. This is a lion. What do you guys think?
So the students, please, if you know the answer, just directly. Oh my God, there's already the answer. Okay, another one. Just try to.
There's a lot of guesses
comment
here.
sections.
Let's just show the real answer, shall?
Yes, please reveal the answer right now. 3. Yes, exactly. The answer is Roar by Katy Perry.
Good job for everyone who guessed correctly.
Okay, this is the first song. We still have a bunch of songs to guess. Let's move to the second song, which is...
Oh, okay.
We have
There's a watermelon
right now.
Fruit emoji.
Okay, let's keep filling the comment section. Let's see.
Okay, there's a lot of people guessing.
Can you guess this song, Kachia? Because I don't think I can.
I think so. Okay, let's see the answer. Yep.
Okay. Coco melon. Someone answered Coco melon. No, the correct answer is Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. Okay, so we have 2 winners now. Let's see which one will be leading the championship. Let's move to the third song. Keep going, okay? Keep answering fastest and quickest.
Guessing, everyone, don't worry. Oh, okay. There's a lot of people immediately.
We don't even have to lead them on. They just answer right away. Okay, because there's so many answers. I think we should reveal the answer now. There's like 10 answers already. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. What is the answer?
Ta-da!
Exactly. Dance Monkey by Tones and Jay. It's a famous song in 2020, right?
Yes, it's very famous. It went viral all across the globe. So that's a very good guesses coming from everyone. Thank you. I think we should go on to the first song.
Yes, let's go. Many more songs. Oh my God, this is pretty easy.
Okay. I
think people, all of us can answer this song right
this
here.
one is pretty easy.
This is a direct hint, right?
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Is it diamond? Who knows? Maybe 7 diamonds.
True. Or maybe it's in another language.
Maybe. Okay. Oh, 7 batu akik. That's a very creative answer right there.
That's creativity right there. Thank you.
Okay, let's see what is the correct answer of this song.
7 Rings by Ariana Grande.
It's not 7 batu akik. Okay, it's 7 rings. It's
7
pretty easy.
Rings. Okay, I want it. I got it. Okay, next one.
It's the 5th song, the 5th song. Let's see.
There's a baby and a bow. Okay, there's angel baby.
Okay.
Angel baby.
Okay, the answer here is quite variety. There's 2 different answers. Which one is correct? Yeah.
I think it's quite 50-50 between both answers.
Maybe. Okay, let's just see the answer. It is Cupid by 50-50. It's not Angel Baby, it's Cupid because they have an arrow and then the baby side is actually an angel.
True. Hey.
It's getting harder and harder, okay? It's the
5th song.
6th song, the second last.
I think this is quite the hardest song, right?
It's about, I don't know, galaxy.
There's a galaxy over there.
Nature.
There's nature. I think a lot of people, it could be.
I'm trying hard to actually.
There's a lot of variety of the answers. Oh.
Okay. Oh my God, the answer is like 5 out of 4 options. Okay. I will give some hints. It's a song that was made by a group that will have a concert in Indonesia this year.
Yes.
Okay, I am getting closer and closer to the right answer. Let's just reveal the correct answer right now. Exactly, it is A Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay. It's not Aurora, it's not Meteor Garden or such, it's Sky Full of Stars. It's getting harder and harder, right?
Yep. Oh, now we're on the end. We're at the last
Yes.
song. I think everyone.
Okay, so be prepared because this is the last question. This is the last game. Please. Okay, I just want to tell you guys the answer, but all of you just. Okay, the answer is quite the same.
Everyone's answers, everyone's guessing.
I think the committee will have a hard time to track which participant answer the most and the quickest.
Okay, let's reveal the last song. What is it?
Yes, it's Bad Guy.
Bad Guy.
By Billie Eilish. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for participating, everyone. Thank you so much for all your enthusiasm from all the participants who have guessed the song titles. We will wait for the community to count each other's scores and decide who's the winner. It was so fun, right?
Yes, okay. So now we wait for the committee to reveal who's the winner, who's the championship of this game. And okay, let's wait for the committee. Who is confident that they will be the winner? Yeah. Is there any of you guys that feel I should be the winner because I answered the most?
I think a lot of people guessed a lot of answers correctly, but are you the fastest? No, that's the question.
Okay, it's getting tenses. Ooh.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, we're all the winner in our life. Okay.
Okay. I think the names are going out now. Okay. Okay, we already have the names for all the winners. We are going to
Okay.
3 winners.
Who is going to announce it?
I think I'm going to announce.
Please do, Katia. Please announce who is the winner of this game championship.
Okay, so congratulations for all 3 winners. You guys have guessed very fast and very correctly. Congratulations for first, Nadira, second, Konsa, and third, Lutfa.
Okay, congratulations for all 3. I think for those who hasn't win, please don't worry because there are much days tomorrow. Please take your victory tomorrow, okay?
Yes, so don't worry, everyone. I can really feel everyone's joy from this game. Everyone's enthusiasm was very much appreciated. So
Yes.
anyway, since we are already relaxed a little bit, I think we are ready for the discussion in breakout room. We give the floor back to the moderator for leading the next session. To Mr. Subhan, the time and screen is yours.
Screen is yours.
Hello, we meet again. So to all of you now, for 58 participants here, you can click your breakout room buttons in front of your Zoom app. Please, you can choose whether you want to join Mr. Mola or Mr. Rosu. Click your breakout room button in front of you. I will join Mr. Rosyidin room and Ms. Palupi will join Mr. Mola breakout room to lead the discussion. For the rest of you, the 35 people here, you can choose whether you want to discuss in the room, in Mr. Rosyidin room or Mr. Mola. Still wait until the rest of you join to host the breakout room. Hello, Mas Rosyid, have you here with us?
Okay, let me continue.
Yes, Mas Rosyid has joined us here. Yeah. Here. Okay. Okay. Since we still wait for Mas Rosyid, what if we now listen from the first breakout room, who is led by Mr. Mola? Do you have any thought or conclusion regarding what your breakout room has discussed, Mr. Mola?
Okay, actually, there is one question that I haven't finished to answer it. It's from Kaisarania from UNESA.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, Kaisarani, could you please could you please repeat your question so all of the audience here can hear your question?
Okay, about my question. Recently that Mr. Maula has taught us about the concept of basic virtue of Indonesian, for example, bebas aktif, cosmopolitan, and communitarianism. But due to the recent factor that has happened, Indonesia actually has a problem regarding with the foreign policy. In this case, a recent issue, World Cup 2023, that cancelled in Indonesia due to several reasons, except from the Malang case, but for also the case of foreign policy that does not support with the sovereignty of other country, for in this case, Israelism. What I would like to ask to Mr. Maula is why this foreign policy is still strong standing despite there is a conceptual virtue about bebas aktif.
Okay, thank you for the question. So regarding the Israel, we have to understand the situation in the Israel itself. As we know, Indonesia, I think Indonesia would never recognize the sovereignty of Israel because but it's not necessarily against our foreign policy principle that was active and the value of cosmopolitanism itself. Because as far as we know, Israel is a country that till this time, Israel still oppressed the Palestine. Israel, we can say that Israel is still colonialized the Palestine till this time. So it is still in accordance with Indonesian principle of the first paragraph on our preamble that every single colonialism and whatever its new form of it have to be abolished, right? So we have because the Israel from the beginning of its existence, it is already colonized the Palestine. So we will never recognize the sovereignty of Israel. And in our foreign policy, Israel is like how to say? It's like ghost country. It exists, but we don't recognize it. We don't recognize it as a country. So It is normal for Indonesia to how to say it, to treat Israel that way, because Israel itself did not adhere to the principle of perpetual peace, and they did not give Palestine the right for independence, to not how to say it, to not suffering because of their occupation there. So regarding Israel, it is not how to say it, it's not against our principle of bebas active and cosmopolitanism itself, because Israel themselves, they are not adhere to the principle of cosmopolitanism, because they oppress the Palestine. They see Palestine as a nation that are below them, right? So it is still it is not against our foreign policy principle. Also sorry, regarding the Malang, the Kanjuruhan incident, I don't really into that case, so I cannot give you answer for that. But that's my opinion regarding the Israel.
Welcome back, Mas Rosyid. Okay, some of the participants has argument regarding Indonesia's foreign policy in Jokowi's era, and also what ASEAN's country, and especially Myanmar's country or citizen, regarding the existence of Rohingya refugees. Maybe both Mas Rosyid and Mr. Mola has a different perspective or a similar perspective regarding what issue has been explored by Sharifah. Maybe I will read again what Sharifah has in the breakout room. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. From Sharifah. The first question is, as we know, Sukarno has built our nation, and Suharto started to build Indonesian's economy, especially in Asia. And when it comes to Megawati, she has built our nation image in Asia and in Southeast Asia. And Yudhoyono seeks more friendships approach, and today's era, Jokowi Dodo's era. From Sharifah perspective, Jokowi has two standards or double standard. In the first standard, Jokowi more focused on domestic in economy, in Indonesian's economy. But on the other hand, especially in foreign policy, Jokowi's approach regarding foreign policy is pragmatic. So, what do you think? How to describe Jokowi's foreign policy? It's the first question. And the second question is regarding the existence of Rohingya. As we know, most of the Rohingya are Muslim, and we know that Indonesia is most Muslim populous country in the world. But why does we seems avoid the attendance of Rohingya? From the perspective of Myanmar citizens, they are avoiding or rejects the existence of Rohingya, because Rohingya is not because Rohingya is Muslim, but Rohingya is most of them are bad people. They usually doing criminal things like that, and also they have a bad habit, criminality and such thing like that. And if Indonesia accept more and more refugees to come to Indonesia, it will threat our national sovereignty. Maybe someday they will cope our island. We know that we have so many islands from Aceh to Papua, but if we let Rohingya to live in one of our island, they will threat our national interest, national sovereignty, especially when they coalesce or align with some of National Defense Force (TNI). They will threat our national sovereignty. That was question from Sharifah. Can you please answer or discuss with us what do you think about the double standard of Jokowi's foreign policy and also the existence of Rohingya? First, Mr. Maula and Mr. Rosyidin, please. And also, if Sharifah has different or counter argument, you can just raise your hand and let us know. Thank you.
What do you mean Jokowi's foreign policy is characterized by double standard?
Like this is like I would not like double standard like that. Just I mean like I wanna ask you how to
Sharifah, you
describe.
still here?
Okay. I just want to ask how to describe Jokowi's in foreign policies in Jokowi's era. I mean, like before in Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, this like no enemy, 100 friendship is something like that. They have but in Jokowi. In Jokowi, we'll focus more, like you say, more pragmatic. We know that, yeah, every leadership have a challenge, right? But the challenge is for the challenge also build the leadership capability, because what? Because the leadership is not become famous, something like that. If they don't have they don't have challenge, we think like in Jokowi era we have to for me we have to opportunity, the big opportunity for the first in the COVID-19 and the second in the Ukraine and Russian conflict. Yeah, I mean like, but that challenge for me. The Jokowi is just more focused on economic. So, what kind of special of Jokowi for foreign policy can we describe to be to international researcher or international students? I mean like that.
All right. So first of all, if you want to understand Indonesia's policy and the leadership of Joko Widodo, we need to keep in mind that Jokowi come to power as an entrepreneur, not as an politician. So it affects hugely on his foreign policy characteristic, right? So Jokowi personally has a little interest in foreign policy, but disregard foreign policy at all, because Indonesia is a great country in the world. So Jokowi cannot run foreign policy as he please. He needs to continue his predecessor's foreign policy. So that's why I as I previously stated, that Indonesian foreign policy under Jokowi is characterized by two principles. On one hand, Jokowi's leadership is very influential by putting a pragmatic principle as the primary focus of his foreign policy. But at the same time, Indonesia also play national roles such as norm setter and bridge builder and etc. And these were Yudhoyono's foreign policy. So if we want to understand Indonesia's foreign policy, we need to look at not only at individual level, but also at the state level, right? So at the individual level, Jokowi shaped Indonesia's foreign policy, which is very pragmatic. Okay, but at the state level, Indonesia's foreign policy has been characterized by the commitment of multilateralism and played a middle power role at the global level. So you got it?
Yeah, got it. I understand.
And regarding
Okay,
the Rohingya and regarding the Rohingya issue, I think we should be careful to say that the Rohingya is a source of threat to Indonesian national interests. What is the proof that the Rohingya is a source of threat? So far, there is a single evidence to say that the Rohingya people is a source of threat to Indonesian national security. Indonesia's commitment to the Rohingya is primarily influenced by a normative principle in Indonesia's foreign policy. So ethics matters in Indonesia's foreign policy, not only national interest, but also ethics. So in terms of the Rohingya issue, I argue that Indonesia's commitment to the humanitarian issue in Myanmar is very big. Okay, that's why Indonesia sent humanitarian assistance. Indonesia initiated to gather all ASEAN members countries in Jakarta to seek a solution of the Rohingya following the military coup in 2021. So my point is that we need to commit to the humanitarian principles by helping the Rohingya issue, either by accepting them in Indonesian territory, but not for permanent citizen. Okay, this is should be underlined. They need to be settled in certain territories in Indonesia, but for non-permanently. Okay, and Indonesia should help them to return to their home country in Bangladesh. And
I understand that. That's the in our side. Yeah, you are right. But I agree with you, and that is correct. And what I said before, because that is not come from me, but they come from the sentence from the citizens of Myanmar, and they say not only one, but a majority of them. They say Rohingya people. I just say Rohingya people just have to become back to Myanmar, and they just say this is just my experience. Because we cannot, we don't have much evidence, we don't have strong evidence. That's why we don't make a research and become a paper, and we accept it to be another research, to do another research. That's why. But this is just discussed among us, and some of them just say like this: even so, Rohingya, we never accept them. in Bangladesh, because basically from the history until now, Rohingya has not come from Bangladesh. They also refugees from others from other place, and until now they don't have place to stay in. Maybe in our region, just say like that. That's why I say like if they don't have, so where they have to go sometime. But in Indonesia, we cannot give them the like permanent residence, right? We accept them, but we can't give them the permanent residence. They just the and until now, I just when we talk about Rohingya and also Myanmar's country also, the government still in some issues now, and they need Asian help, especially Indonesia. That's why I just may bring this to discuss, because just to share my experience, and I don't have any words to say that, just because my friends talk to me, if you back to your country, you have to be careful from Rohingya citizens, just say like that. It is very insightful for me, but I agree with you, and enough for the answer. Thank you so much.
Well, that's interesting insight. Yes. I think that the problem of the Rohingya people is not the responsibility of Indonesia alone, but we need to engage the UNHCR in order to solve this problem. It's not Indonesian responsibility alone. That's it.
Okay.
You have any thought, Mr. Mola?
Yeah, that's quite interesting discussion. Actually, I have visited one of the Rohingya refugees camp in Malaysia, in Penang. It's not well, actually, it's not formally provided by the country, but one certain philanthropy built a shelter there, and then he also built a school for the Rohingya child to be educated there. They learn a lot there. Yeah, basic knowledge and Melayu language. I think we cannot. Yeah, I agree with Mas Rosyid. We cannot make Rohingya as Indonesian own responsibility, but indeed we have UNHCR, but as far as I know, UNHCR itself, for now, the waiting list for the refugees to be distributed to the destination country has already been too long. So it takes really long time for the Rohingya issues to be addressed. How to say it properly. But in the meantime, I think this will be very helpful if there are a lot of philanthropists who do the same with the Malaysian philanthropy that I said before. About the view that Rohingya people are threat to Indonesian people, I just hear it from you. I never heard it before, but I think in Indonesia itself and in Malaysia, we accept Rohingya warmly as long as we can still accept them. But if the quota is getting full, there's too many of them. Yeah, it is out of our responsibility, I think.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mola and Mr. Rosyid. Sharifah, do you have any questions or counter affecting what Mola and Mr. Rosyid say?
Nothing. I think that's enough for today. Tomorrow we still have time, right?
Okay, thank you for your great participation. The second one, we have Rehan here. Rehan, you still here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you please repeat your question? Rehan said before in the breakout room that,
Okay.
Rehan
What
questioning
is
about, okay, please, Rehan.
okay? What is the best strategy that the government could use for the best interest of this nation? Yeah, something like that. Thank you.
Maybe the best strategy or the best foreign policy, or
That's right.
can it?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Rosid or Mr. Mola, you can answer first, please.
I'm sorry, I still don't get it. The question.
From the first discussion, we have discussed about any type of what our president foreign policy. The Rehan question is actually what is the best strategy or the best foreign policy to use by the government on the current situation?
Well, the question is too general. I don't have any specific answer to that, because foreign policy is a very broad issues, from geopolitical rivalries, economy, pandemic, economy and climate. In what sense?
Sorry, I forgot to mention the specific topic. I mean for something like Myanmar or Israel.
Okay. I try my best to answer this issue. Okay, so in terms of the Rohingya, as I said earlier, that Indonesia still committed to humanitarian principle. That's why Jokowi's foreign policy, despite the fact that Jokowi is very pragmatic leader, he cannot disregard the issue of humanity in Myanmar. So the best strategy to address the Rohingya issue, I think that Indonesia should continue its commitment to help the Rohingya people, either by using diplomatic strategy, for example, using ASEAN, in order to force the military junta in Myanmar to stop the violence, or Indonesia should continue its humanitarian assistance to the Rohingya people. Okay, and with respect to the Palestinian issue, Indonesia should maintain its position to help the Palestinian at the global level. So Indonesia should I think Indonesia should implement its non anti-colonialism principle in its foreign policy by using multilateralism, for example, Organization of Islamic Committee, the UN, and other multilateral forums. My point is, Indonesia's foreign policy should be able to help the Palestinian people in order to get their status as an independent state with the two states solution. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
I see. Thank you, sir.
Raise your hand. Can
Hello,
you,
am I
okay,
audible?
please? Okay, yes. Make it short, please.
Okay. After some sort of resolution given by Mr. Maula about regarding that Indonesia actually not fighting against the concept of bebas aktif, I would like to ask for both of the speaker, for Mr. Rosyidin and Mr. Maula. It is a what-if scenario. So let's just say like this. Actually, based on history that I've read, actually simply about America, that America is actually intervene with Vietnam War with West and East, and also the case of Sudan, or the false accusation about the senjata mematikan, a deadly weapon by Iraq, that actually not true, that has caused so many death and all. And if I properly think about this, it's actually related that against with human life and relating with war. So what I would like to say in what if scenario like this is it possible for us to draw back the sovereignty, like Indonesia claim about sovereignty about America based on practical or theory and theory, both of the side, and also the possibility for Indonesia to draw back about the connection between Indonesia first with America, since lately there has been issue that several countries, for example, Middle East and Russia, has used a new currency that can fight against US dollar. For both speaker. Yes, thank you.
Okay, please, Mr. Mola, you have around 2 minutes, please, to answer.
Okay. So, your question is why Indonesia is still maintain a good relationship with the US. Meanwhile, the US also done the same thing like Israel. They colonized the country, they oppressed the country, right? Okay. Well, my answer is beside the normative dimension of foreign policy, we have to be realistic. Once again, America is one of the strongest countries in the world, but literally or economically, right? So, the US also has very huge interest in our region, in the Pacific region especially. Yeah. So, to face that challenge that come from the US, we have to address it wisely. Right? We cannot just how to say, we cannot just loosen our ties with the US and challenge them. No, we will never win. If we make good relationship with the US, the first one, we can still survive in the international system, and then we can also gain economic benefits from the US itself. So, if we talk about US-China relationship, Indonesia try to balance its closeness both with China and the US. So Indonesia can maintain the conflict between the two, and then Indonesia can survive amidst the contestation between the two giants, and then at the same time, Indonesia can also get the economic benefits from both China and US. So when we talk about the US and China, we are not talking about the normative area of foreign policy, but this is a more strategic area. So we have to be wise in facing the challenges that are emerged from the US and the China, especially. That's my answer, I think.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mola and Cesarani for the question. Sadly, the time is over, so I will give it back to the MC. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Subhan. But firstly, I think let us have Mr. Rashid and Mr. Maula closing statement.
Yes, I think everyone would like to hear the closing statements from both of our esteemed speakers for today's event. If both of the speakers will please give all the participants today the closing statement for our agendas today. For Mr. Rosyidin and Mr. Maula.
Okay, thank you. My my closing remarks is quite simple. Indonesia's foreign policy during Jokowi's presidency has been characterized by pragmatic principle, but at the same time, still committed to upholding normative principles, idealistic principles, in order to manage the regional, the Indo-Pacific, to be a peaceful, a stable, and cooperative region. So my suggestion to Indonesian foreign policy makers is that Indonesia should play a leadership role. Indonesia should enhance its leadership role in the region by playing a strategic role as an entrepreneur and norm setter. So Indonesia should not looking into its domestic matters, but also Indonesia should play at the global level and contribute to the maintenance of global order. That's the Constitution as stated. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mohammad Rosyidin. Maybe next we can have the closing remarks from Mr. Maula.
Okay, I think my point is similar with Mr. Rashid. I think that Indonesia should increase its assertive role in the international system. The first homework for Indonesia in the short term, maybe Indonesia have to be able to manage the conflict that potentially happening between the China and the US in the Pacific region. Maybe I suggest that Indonesia could establish not military alliance, because our constitution not allow it, but maybe Indonesia could make maybe how to say cooperation with other ASEAN countries, especially that has borders with the South China Sea and the Malacca Strait, to cooperate together to manage the sea line of communication there, so it can also reduce the tension between China and US, who are also racing to gain more access to the sea line of communication. So that's all for me.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Maula and Mr. Rosyidin for the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally have reached the end of the event. Thank you so much to Mr. Mohammad Rosyidin and Mr. Maula Hudaya for the insightful presentations. And thank you so much for Mr. Muhammad Subhan for leading our discussion session.
However, before we close today's agenda, we'll take documentation together. So please, for everyone, open your camera and give us your best smile. Documentation will be led by the committee, so please count 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, I think I will just count for the committee.
Okay,
everyone.
Let's open the camera, everyone.
Okay, I think quite a lot of people is already ready for the documentation. Please give us your best smile. I will count to 8 to 6, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, next one for everyone because we have quite a lot of slides. Please keep smiling for the 3 times because we don't know where you are. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, last one, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Committee, is it done?
Okay, is it
Okay.
safe to continue our agendas today? So, after documentation, please don't forget to fill in the link of attendance that has been sent by the comment in the comment section. Okay, so before leave the Zoom meeting, please fill the attendance first. And then don't forget, today, tomorrow, day 3 of IRUD summer course will be starting at the same exact hour, which is 3 p.m. So let's see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, don't forget to attend the day 3 of our IRUD summer course 2023. Thank you so much for all the participants as well as all the speakers. On behalf of the organizing committees, I would like to apologize if we have made any mistakes throughout the event. We are very, 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 very thankful for everyone for participating today. We hope that today's session will be beneficial for all of us. Once again, thank you everyone for gracing today's classes with your presence. We are very glad for your appearance. We truly appreciate it, and I wish you all a nice day and see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow in the next session.
Good day,
everyone. Thank you. Let's see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh.